Hello, everyone. It's Stacy from Achievers Prep, and welcome to another edition of It's All Education, the podcast. Today, I have a very, very special and honored guest with us, and she is going to be kicking off our spiritual growth series. We are doing this so that we can address an area of all of our lives that we need to pay close attention to. And that is our spirituality. Now, we're not talking religion here, so I don't need anybody to get on your high horses and get offended. We are talking about spirituality, and that is a very different conversation. And throughout this series, we're going to be exploring what it is to be spiritual and what that actually means. And we are kicking off that series today with my honored special guest, who is right next to me. She is, among many things, she is a pastor, but she is also a dynamic business person and speaker. And I really brought her on the stage today with us so that she could expound on a topic that we have chosen for today. And I'm going to allow her to tell you about herself and our topic today. So I will introduce her simply by name by saying this is the Honorable Dr. Terresa White.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, Miss Stacy, for having me on. I'm simply honored to be with you today. I'm simply honored to be on. You know, people don't have to be nice to you. And when you have someone that you meet that's kind and that's considerate and compassionate, it always makes for an incredible connection. So thank you so much for having me. I am Dr. Terresa White. I am one of the senior pastors of Heritage Christian Center International, located in Jacksonville, Florida. I am the CEO and owner of Empowerment Solutions, a consultative business that deals with training, public relations, risk management, and the like. I am also the CEO and founder of Fearless Girlz Incorporated. It is a global nonprofit organization that has an E3 mission. I call it the E3 mission. Don't get all thrown off by the acronym, but it's an E3 mission where we expand, educate, and empower women, Fearless Girlz. And it's Fearless Girlz with a Z, because I believe that we have an opportunity to live an incredible life and we should be able to do it fearlessly. I also believe that this is the era of the woman. And so I believe there is a healthy balance for us to have as women, for us to take our rightful place in this world with equitable respect that affords us fairness in our wages, in our workplace, and across the world. That's who we are. That's what we deserve. And I am just excited to share with you so much that is going on in our world right now. At the end of the day, I believe with Fearless Girlz, my goal is to help women find their voice and to shatter the whole idea of misogyny without ruining the balance that we should have as both men and women. We were created differently, we were made differently, but it doesn't take away our equality. So that's kind of in a nutshell who I am.
Woo, and that was awesome. Do you understand me? You said so much. In fact, you gave us many topics that we can cover throughout this spiritual growth series.
Very good.
The topic that we are going to stick with today. Do you remember the topic that we had decided to go with today?
Yes, success is scriptural and success is promised.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I will allow you to kick us off and expound on that, because I'm sure people out there talking about, what are you talking about? Success is scriptural, because I wanted to touch on this first in this series, because so often we get caught up in serving from a place of poverty, and thinking that success or wealth is not of God.
Right.
When that is not the case, you know, when the Bible speaks about the love of money, it is not that you should hate money. You shouldn't have the opposite feeling about money, because obviously we live in a world that revolves around money and that exists upon money, and you need money in order to cohabitate in this realm. Now,
Yes,
while we are spiritual beings and we talk about, being enlightened and living beyond the world, we still have to work and operate within the world structure.
absolutely.
And it
Absolutely.
involves the dollar. So,
Yes,
so
yes.
I wanted to approach this because our previous series was being financially literate. And I am so glad that God chose you to open this series of spiritual growth, because even with being financially literate, we need to make sure that we are growing spiritually. And when I say growing spiritually, I mean that we need to start dissecting so that we can understand first. Okay.
Absolutely.
Because, the key is understanding.
Yeah.
And then you get knowledge because you now understand it. And through
Yes.
that knowledge, you will gain wisdom through revelation.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Well, go ahead. I love it. I'm
So,
loving it.
so this is why we're starting in this vein. And God gave me, the topic this morning. And that's why I shot it over to you. And I was hoping that it would be something you would be able to speak upon. So I'm going to be quiet right now. And the next voice you hear will be that of Dr. White. And I will allow Dr. White to go and start with this platform and this discussion and this topic today.
Great. Well, we'll chop it up together and just kind of do a dialogue style, because everything that you said is absolutely on point. One of the things that is amazing, I'm a Jesus lover. Don't hate me because I've given identity to the Jesus that I love. And the fact that I love Jesus doesn't mean that I don't love you if you don't agree with who I love. So we all are still humans. We all are still people. And I can't be a Jesus lover in love with a God who loves everyone and be mean to people, or to throw people away. He wouldn't do it, neither will I.
Right.
So I just kind of wanted to lay that foundation, because everything that I say, it's going to be based on biblical principles, because that's who I am. That's what I do. That's how I roll.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I just kind of would like to put that out there. And I'm not throwing off on anyone else who has made a conscious decision to serve or to love someone else. That is your right. God gives us that right. So with that said, I believe that there is no anointing on ignorance. And there are so many people who are operating in ignorance, and they say they love God. I'm amazed at the amount of people who say they love God and butcher the scripture that you used about the love of money. It is the love of money. It's not money that's bad. It's the love of it. When you allow money to become your God, that's where you begin to have problems.
Now, I want to jump in really quickly, because you also mentioned the word love.
Yes.
Now, also, there was another revelation that was given to me this morning, too, about love. Somehow, someone has told me throughout the years that love is both a verb and a noun. And God gave me revelation that that's not true, because that would create a dualistic mind in God. Because if you research that in the Bible, in the Word, okay, it is that God is love, first of all, but God gives us in the Bible examples of things that we are to do. And in everything he gives us, there is an action to it. There's something we got to do, right? So if love were a noun, it would be a thing to be possessed. It would be a thing to be given and exchanged and received.
Yeah.
When actually it is something that is a verb, because it is an action.
Yeah.
It is an action. And God is love. God in his love is a complete and total action.
Yes.
It's done.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly that is a perfect description of what love is. And one of the things that I think we do oftentimes is we split hairs over things that are simply unnecessary, and so I'm not going to fight with a person who says that God is a noun and a verb. I'm not going to fight with you about it. At the end of the day, there is a demonstrative requirement for us to have action in our love. Don't tell me that you love me. Show me you love me.
That's it.
And that is one of the places I think oftentimes we miss it with God. We're so concerned about the not to do list that we get from God that we don't pay attention to the vast love and the openness that we have with God. It's sort of like telling your kid not to run out into the street after their ball. You know, I don't want you so focused on the fact that you can't go out to the street to get your ball that you don't enjoy the ball.
Right.
And I think that's what people do oftentimes in their relationship with God. You're so focused on the street that you miss the entire 20 acres of land you're living on.
Right.
So it's crazy. It's crazy how we try to shove God into our can't do list box, that we miss the vastness of love and opportunity that we get with God, which takes me back to that money piece.
Mm-hmm.
How could the God that created everything in earth have a problem with you prospering financially? That's it. That's
Think
like trying to go north-south. You can't go north and south at the same time. Either you're going to go north or you're going to go south. It's crazy.
You can't serve two masters. You can't serve two masters.
Right. Now what we don't do is we don't make money our God. And that's what it means about the love of money. That's somebody that's greedy. Mm-hmm. So we can talk about greed or we can talk about money. The two are not the same. You know, and when we talk about in the scriptures where it says that it's easier for, to go through the needle, when we talk about that, please do your history, because that actually was a location in the land where they lived. It was not a literal parable, because if it was, how could anybody then go to heaven? Because what human being can fit through the eye of a needle? So just do your research and realize that was actually a location that, because now think about it. If there's a small entry and you're on a camel. So 2 years ago, my husband and I went to Cairo for our 30th wedding anniversary. I'm really showing my age now. But we went to Cairo for our 30th wedding anniversary. And one of the things we did was we rode camels throughout to see the pyramids and the Sphinx and all of that. And when I tell you, those camels are enormous.
Yes.
Enormous. So with you sitting on one, that is a tall order to make it through a place that's a lower arch. So Correct. Just do the research. It had nothing to do with you having finances, because at the end of the day, the disciples had money.
Okay.
So we can't put ourselves in a place, and you hit it nail on, 100% target. We live in a society that is determined through finances. So whoever told this lie about taking a vow of poverty to be a believer, they missed the mark, and they missed it completely.
They missed it.
Right, because I can show you too many people in the Bible with money. Abraham was so rich, they were like, get your rich tail out of our town.
Somehow our society has shaped poverty with spirituality, or your level of spirituality. And somehow it's easier for us to see Jesus in a place of lack, right, and a place of poverty, rather than a place of royalty. And then for me, I struggle with that because do you not understand, in order to be a part of a kingdom, you got to serve a king.
Right.
So what kind of king would you serve that is broke?
Right. So now that's a point. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
So talking about Jesus, when he was crucified, why would the guards cast lots to get his robe? Why? Because his robe was dope. His robe was dope. It had no seams in it. So his robe was dope. And they were casting lots to see who could get it. They didn't like Jesus. They wanted his robe because it was dope.
Good point.
Yeah, so we have to think about the fact that was the reality of it. Here's another thought.
We might have to explain what it means to cast lots, because we speak in these Christian terms that those who may be newer in the word may not understand what it means to cast lots. Can we expound on that?
Yes, it means that they were all betting to get his robe.
So that means the robe had to have value.
It had value. It was like they were auctioning the robe. No, if you've ever been to an auction, it's like, who gonna do 20? Who gonna do 30? Who gonna do 40? They were casting lots. They were trying to be the one to get that robe because the robe was dope. Not so they could have something and say that they had Jesus's robe. They didn't like him.
Right. And if he was wearing battered clothes like we've seen in the Hollywood movies,
right,
then why would they have been casting lots over a tattered, battered piece of linen?
Exactly. And we know that's a whole nother subject right there. The ideology that Jesus was a white, blue-eyed man is a whole nother subject that we would need to discuss.
For another day.
How many of those do you see in Egypt? And do you see in the Middle East? So that's another subject. But but I digress. Let me get back on track.
Okay.
Here's the other thing about Jesus. What broke human being has an accountant?
Oh, let's talk about that.
So Judas carried the money. Judas was stealing money. What broke human being do you know has an accountant? So you know Jesus wasn't broke. So we have to look at the scriptures and understand the historical background before we start making assumptions.
And he was the carpenter's son. And for all intents and purposes, Joseph was a carpenter. So that means he was a business owner. Hello?
Right.
Hello?
Right. He knew how to do business. You cannot find in the scriptures where it tells us to be poor. It tells us not to be greedy. It tells us not to allow money to run us. You don't allow money to be your God. But it does not say that we are not. In fact, on the contrary, I can show you every place else in the scriptures. The scriptures, in fact, are littered with examples that we are supposed to financially prosper. The Bible says, talking about success, the Bible says in Jeremiah chapter 29 and verse 11, that God's thoughts about us, they're good and they're not evil, and that he has a future and a hope for us. In the King James Version, it says an expected end.
All right.
So what kind of God would have an expected end for us, would have a future for us, would have a hope for us, but wants us broke?
Right.
It's an oxymoron, so we see it. In fact, we see in the scriptures where it tells us that when we sow, we can expect that back. In Ephesians 6, it tells us that what we make happen for others, God makes happen for us. So what we have to remember is there is that philanthropic portion that's supposed to happen that keeps us in a prosperous position. That's why we're supposed to follow the whole idea of tithe and offering. I know people say that it's not for today. Well, show me in the Bible where it says it's not for today, because that's not accurate. So when we follow the principles on the word, we should expect to be prosperous. Every success in this world is based on godly principles. And we see philanthropic people who do give back all the time, and they are constantly getting back. Why? It's not because they're rich. It's because they're following a principle that works and it produces. So we have to trust the word. I'm a firm believer that we are supposed to be totally prosperous. And here's the thing, the Bible also says, and I'm going to paraphrase it, it also says that a poor man can have all of the answers to world's issues, but the world won't listen to him if he's broke.
Now that's deep. That's deep. So what does that mean? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that for a moment. Let's stay right there.
It basically means that I can have all of these answers, but if I don't have a pot or a window, I will not have credibility to those who have the ability to put those things in action or into play. So and we see it all the time. That's why you'll see a rich person who doesn't know hello from Sikkim getting authority. I shouldn't have used that, like, that term, but you picking up what I'm putting down.
I get it. I get it.
They don't.
In fact, as a people, we cannot continue to stay in a place of brokenness, and poverty.
Absolutely.
We can't have a poverty mindset. We can't have a poverty approach to what it is we do, because we will be ineffective. We will be ineffective for ourselves here and for the kingdom.
Absolutely. It's true. And I'm amazed at how, one of the things I believe is, you hear people talk about the prosperity gospel. The gospel is prosperity. It's good news.
It's good news.
So it's good news. And at the end of the day, when we talk about prospering, we should be talking way more than money. We are supposed to prosper in our relationship with God. We're supposed to prosper in relationships with other people. We're supposed to prosper in our health, and we're supposed to prosper in our finances. So it's a total package. And if a person is so focused on the money part, they miss everything else. We're supposed to have a completely prosperous life. That is who he called us to be. That's what we're supposed to do. So we have to make sure that we are using the word in its totality so that we can experience the completeness of prosperity in our lives. That's what we're supposed to do.
That's right. Yeah. And that's why success looks so totally different from person to person. Everyone views success differently.
Right.
And because there are levels to this thing, there are many different ways to have success.
Yes.
There are many different ways to have success. And that's why I wanted us to talk about how success is scriptural. Now let's talk about the promise. Let's talk about the promise.
Okay. So go ahead.
Can you elaborate for us about why we are sitting here saying that it's a promise that you can be successful scripturally? Why is that a promise?
Well, because just like you said, the scriptures say so. One of my favorite scriptures in the word is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 35. It says, "Cast not away therefore your confidence, that has great recompense of reward." In other words, it's saying, don't cast your confidence away. Of course, that's a hit for me with Fearless Girlz. That's another subject. However, so we're not supposed to cast away our confidence, because when it says recompense, it says that that means compensation. So it's going to give us a great compensation of reward. That's a promise in the scriptures that tell us to stand strong, hold our course long term, don't give up on faith, and you will be compensated in the end. That's a promise in the scriptures. So we have a responsibility as kingdom citizens to keep our confidence until it begins to show up in our lives so that others can see it. Another one of my favorite scriptures comes from 2 Corinthians, I think it is chapter 5 and verse 20. It talks about us being ambassadors. So when I think of myself as an ambassador, an ambassador has a responsibility to explain their kingdom, where they come from, who they serve, to others, so that others won't misunderstand who you serve, what kingdom you are a part of. So as an ambassador,
and what your message is, your message is.
Yes. And I'm carrying the message of the kingdom. So I have a responsibility to explain to the world who God is so that they won't misunderstand God. But unfortunately, we have a lot of people who don't carry that message appropriately. When we use the word appropriately, we will be an example of it, and it will not be able to be denied. That is another promise that we have. So I oftentimes use that example, and I think about if I was in Belgium and I had a problem in Belgium, I am going to go to the embassy because I am a representative of the United States. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find safety there. And when I'm there, I have a responsibility. Once I make it to that embassy, I follow all the rules of the embassy of the United States, not of the country of Belgium. That's who we are wherever we are as kingdom citizens. I have a responsibility. The embassy is where I dwell. And in that embassy, I have the right to show the world who my God is so they won't misunderstand him. And I have to be a living witness and example of it. So if I'm not being a good witness of it in the promises of God, then I am a poor example of it to the world, and I'm going to be held accountable for that. And that's where I think we miss it oftentimes. But the promise is there. And he says he gives us a future and a hope, an expected end. He's not going to allow anything to happen to us. In fact, in the book of Isaiah, it talks about us enlarging our tent. So we enlarge our territory. It says, take your stakes up and move them out. In other words, be in expectation for more. And oftentimes as believers, we're not in expectation for more because we've allowed the world to tell us that we are not supposed to expect it. And that is a lie. It's a lie. You know, it's sort of like the lie about, the preacher taking all your money. You know, I take that personal as a preacher. So let's talk about that for one quick second. Let me get on my soapbox for just a little bit. So the preacher is only after money, but the preacher does not have a charge to get in the building. The preacher has no charge to minister to the people who are there. But all the preacher is after is your money. How much sense does that make when church is the cheapest show in town? So the only place we have a problem with someone getting paid is in church. So the preacher can't get paid, but your doctor can get paid. Your therapist can get paid.
Your life coach.
Your life coach can get paid. So wait. So let's take it out of that arena. When you walk into an arena, a sports arena, because right now the NBA playoffs are happening, right?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
You walk into the arena. You're not going in there without paying for a ticket, and the cost goes up for the playoffs and even more so for the finals. But you're going to pay that, and you're not going to walk in and say, all these people want is my money. They're going to sell jerseys with other people's names on it, but we're going to be critical of the preacher if the preacher asks you to sow a seed into their life. So we'll buy jerseys, and we know how much those jerseys cost. And then we go to our seats, and we don't have a problem with them telling us that our ticket says that our seat is in row D, double D, seat 36. But if the people at the church try to ask you to sit in a specific place, no, I just want to sit in the back, and it's a problem. But all the preacher wants is your money. Then you're going to sit in that double D, seat 7, and you're going to buy what I like to call ministry of helps. How much do those beers cost? How much do those sodas cost? How much does the popcorn, the hot dog, the
nacho?
Yes, they inflate the prices, but nobody is sitting in the stands saying, all the owner of the Lakers want is my money. The Clippers won, I think, last night. All the coach for the Clippers won, or the owner of the Clippers, all they want is my money. We don't say that. The only place we say that is the place you get in for free. But the preacher is supposed to deal with all of your personal issues, pray for you, bury you, be there with you,
and deliver
deliver you, help you see how to get connected to God. And the preacher is the only person that's not supposed to be paid. Are you serious? So we have this thing. We've just allowed the world to tell us things that are simply not true. But the Bible tells us that we're supposed to prosper. The Bible tells us that we're supposed to live our best life. The Bible promises that if we follow God's plan, we absolutely cannot lose. So why would we want to follow a plan that's not done or not given to us by the Creator? When we follow the Creator's plan, the promises in the Word, we have a totally fulfilled and satisfied and content life. You want to know how to live content, how to live successful, and how to live on the promises? Fulfill the purpose that God created you for, and you will live an incredible life, no matter what the money is. So that's my soapbox.
Be obedient. Be obedient.
Be obedient. Be obedient. You cannot lose with obedience. And we were talking about this earlier. I am a firm believer that if the Lord wants you out on the smallest of limbs, it is the safest place for you to be, because he's the one who created you and he's the one who made the limb. So I don't care how flimsy it looks. He has a responsibility to keep that limb holding you up if you're 500 pounds. It's what we're supposed to do.
And he can do it. He can do it because he has the power to do it, because he's the Omega. He's the Alpha and the Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He's all power is in his hand.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you're out on the flimsiest limb, in fact, no matter where you are, as long as you are doing it by keeping your eyes on the kingdom and you're being obedient, you are ultimately within his hand.
It is the safest place for us to be.
The safest place to be. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I'm telling you, we're going to bring this to an end, because we could talk all day, I'm sure. And we are going to, at this point, I am going to invite you to come back, because this is going to be an ongoing series. What I do is I provide this platform as a place for education.
Got it.
And it's not the kind of education that you think of when you think of the word education, because it's time for us to think about education in a new way for a new day. It's time to do that, because we need to be educating both our children and ourselves as adults.
Yes.
Because there is still yet much work for us to do.
Absolutely.
And so I want to take this opportunity to invite you to come back, to be a part, to be an integral part, an important part of our spiritual growth series. So will you come back and share with us again?
I would be absolutely honored. Absolutely honored. It would be my privilege and my joy.
I am so thrilled. I'm so thrilled. Well, okay, at this point of my program, I normally say that if people resonate with what you have said today, or they resonate with you in general, or they just want to connect with you, I allow you at this point to give an opportunity for our audience to know how they can get in touch with you and how they can learn more about you and what it is you do.
I love it. And so, like I said, with Fearless Girlz, we have that E3 mission to expand, to educate, and to empower. I know that one of my assignments, I talked a little bit about purpose. One of my assignments, I know that my purpose is to help people see that they can live a fulfilled and a complete life based on the purpose that they were created for, and that you can do it fearlessly. So that's who I am. That's what I do. I know that I'm called to do that. And I would love for you to be a part of the Fearless Girlz or Fearless Guys journey if you're a guy. So we have Fearless Girlz, GIRLZ, and Fearless Guys, GUYZ. So we want you to be on this fearless journey with us. I am a firm believer that when we follow the principles in the Word of God, and we fulfill our purpose, there's nothing that we can't do. In fact, like I said, I'm a Jesus lover, and I believe according to Genesis chapter 11 and verse 6, you see there where there was the Tower of Babel being built. And what happened is they all were on one accord and they all had one mind. And what God said is, as long as they are on this track, there is nothing that they will set their mind to do that they cannot accomplish. And I believe that what that is showing us is having a spirit of unity makes us unstoppable. And so I would love for you all to be a part of the Fearless Girlz journey. You can follow us on Fearless Girlz on Facebook. It's FEARLESSGIRLZ. You can follow us on Fearless Girlz on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Tumblr. We are on Instagram. We are on all of those platforms. And I'm excited about you being a part of the Fearless Girlz journey with me. And you do not want to miss what we're doing. You can go to our website, wearefearlessgirls.com, and see what we've got going on. I have an upcoming Fearless Girls getaway that's going to be in Cincinnati, Ohio. I'm super, super stoked about it. July 23rd through the 27th. You can get some more information on that by emailing admin@wearefearlessgirls.com. It's admin@FEARLESSGIRLZ.com. So email us, hit us up on Facebook, inbox us, DM us on the gram, YouTube, however you want to connect. But make sure that you check us out every Friday. We have a Fearless Fridays Nugget at 7 p.m. on Facebook Live every single Friday. Don't miss it. I'd love to see you there. So thanks so much for letting me give my little plug. I appreciate it. We've got some great things going on with Fearless Girls, and I'd love for you all to be on the journey with us.
Thank you so much, Dr. White. Let me tell you, it was my pleasure to have you come on and give what you just called a plug. But at the end of the day, I, myself, and Achievers Prep and It's All Education, we're going to lock arms with Fearless Girls and Dr. White, Dr. White, because I want to be involved in everything you're doing, because everything you're doing is personifying and amplifying the voice of God in everything that you are doing. And I want to be a part of things that amplify God. So I definitely want to be a part of anything that you're doing. I'm going to put your information out there. And if you want to get in touch with me, you know that you can. I also am on all of the social media platforms. It's All Education can be found anywhere from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. We're all over the place. LinkedIn. So at the end of the day, if someone reaches out to me and they say, hey, I watched your program and that Dr. White was awesome. I don't know what she said, how to get in touch with her. I can't find her. I know she said fearless something. No problem. I will direct them right to you. So I just want you to know I will be an ambassador for you as well, just as we are to be ambassadors for the kingdom. So I'm going to lock arms with you, and everywhere I go, I will sing the praises of Fearless Girls, and Fearless Girls and Fearless Guys. I haven't forgotten you out there. So I just want you to know that, Dr. White, that I am so grateful for you coming on the show, agreeing to come back again and do another installment of our spiritual growth series for the BIPOC community. And listen, I always say that I'm a BIPOC education advocate. Yes, because first and foremost, my heart is with my people, obviously. But I'm telling you that the information we are sharing is for everyone, because I believe that the human experience is our classroom. Yes. And life and life's journey is our teacher. So, that is why I believe at the end of the day, it's all education. Whatever we go through on this human journey and on this life's journey as a human being, it is part of our ultimate education. So that's why I'm trying to change the conversation about education. I'm trying to get people to start seeing it in a different way so that we can start educating ourselves, educating our neighbors, educating our communities, educating our circle, our sphere of influence. We need to start educating one another on the truth. Okay, so I'm going to end it right here. I'm going to stop the recording and just say, as always, the human experience is our classroom and life is our teacher. And at the end of the day, it's all education. Bye.